Adobe has been using Graphite for almost 3 years now. And so I think we implemented it back in 2018 or maybe early 2019. Our goals when we started to use Graphite were primarily to improve the experience, mostly for our internal requesters, but also for our suppliers. We wanted to make sure that when we needed to onboard a supplier, that we did that in a way that was efficient, that didn't ask for the same information multiple times, provided a good user experience, and that properly covered all of our risks, but in a way that wasn't painful for everybody involved. Graphite has been an absolute game changer for Adobe. It has made it so that we are just so much more of a coordinated team between the different functions that all need to be involved in supplier onboarding. You have risk teams, you've got finance that needs to be involved. Obviously, you've got sourcing and procurement teams, and then you have requesters. And so being able to bring all of that into the same system and have that be very clearly architected out so that it's an efficient flow, so that everybody knows what their role is and that we can track and properly get through each checkpoint, each step of supplier onboarding has been really, really good for our company. Yeah, we haven't been able to onboard 100% of our suppliers in Graphite, but a very, very, very high percentage. I think most companies will always have some suppliers who just say, hey, I'm not going to go into that platform. Government entities is a great example of that, where they will not always jump into a platform, but the vast, vast majority of suppliers have. And in fact, I often get notes and emails from them saying, thanks for changing the platform. This is so much better than how it was before. And so we've had really, really strong adoption, and it continues to get better and better, both as they learn about it and as we continue to refine our processes as well. When a requester wants to start the process of bringing on a new supplier, they will go to our Graphite portal. And from there, they can request a new supplier engagement. They fill out some information about the requirements that they have, the nature of the spend requirements, the location, provide just a very little bit of information so that we can know who it is that we need to engage with. And that will then trigger an invitation to the supplier. And with that invitation, the supplier is able to fill out biographical information and any other aspects of information, whether it be risk categories or the nature of the spend. And that then allows us to use the rules and the system-based logic that then will say, who needs to be involved? Who needs to look into this particular supplier onboarding and the various risks that are associated with that? And then we can route that across the different teams and have the right people be involved at the right times in a very seamless fashion. All of our risk assessments are actually done in Graphite. And so what we do is and this has changed over time. We've added more and more risk lens, sometimes because we needed to, and sometimes because our processes and our programs have matured. But when it started off, we did some very fundamental and foundational risk screening around who are we doing business with? Are they passing the proper screening and checks that you would want from a compliance perspective? We also did information security checks and privacy checks closely associated. Over time, we've added more and more capabilities to that as well. One example of that is we've also added financial screening. And so now through Graphite, we have some integrations that allow us to quickly see the financial health of the suppliers that we're doing business with. And so as we have more and more of that come together into a single portal, we have a single pane of glass for who are we doing business with? What are the risks? Who has been involved in assessing those risks? Are there any action plans associated with that? And we're able to have a really, really good comprehensive view of our supply base. Yeah, that's one of the things. We have integrated Graphite with other platforms. That's one of the best things about the architecture and the approach that Graphite, I think, has taken is they're very open. And so they have great APIs that allow you to bring data in and out of their system if you have other providers that you use. One example that we use at Adobe is we use Dow Jones for adverse media. And so we want to make sure that we can leverage that, but we don't want that to be an offline process. We want that to all come together, again, in a single pane of glass. And so being able to bring in various data sources and have that all be in Graphite has been a seamless experience. Great open architecture, very easy to get those things up and working, and it's been, frankly, a breath of fresh air at how quickly and how inexpensively we've been able to make that work. The data in Graphite is very rich, and so there's a lot of data that is in the tool that you can access from within Graphite, but we also wanted to bring that data out of Graphite for other purposes. We have separate tools that we use for some of our data management and data visualization. And so the ability to pull data out through Graphite's APIs and then pull that into some of our native tools is working really, really well for us. We can then dashboard things. We have used Power BI and Tableau and various different tools, and all of that data seamlessly comes right out of Graphite and works with our native other tools. Implementation, timeline, and cost were both great experiences for us. In the case of timeline, we expected it would take us anywhere from 12 to 20 weeks. We really weren't sure. Graphite came in, they had some really solid recommendations. They looked at our process, they acted as business advisors and really helped us get to a point where super quickly we were able to land exactly the types of workflows that we needed, and even more than that. We actually got our initial launch done in about 8 to 10 weeks. And so it went really, really well. In terms of cost, we came in exactly at what they had told us we would, and it was no surprises. And that's always what you want as a procurement person, is no surprises. From an implementation perspective, our biggest challenges were corralling all the different folks at Adobe and making sure that the right capabilities that they had heard about were the ones that we selected. There were more capabilities, more things that we could have done than we were prepared to do initially. And so we had to be very, very thoughtful and balanced as we worked across the different teams to say, what's the most important thing? And making sure that we didn't get distracted with things that we could do before we focused on the very most fundamental and core aspects of the platform. Our support relationship has been solid. I can call, I get a response right away. We say, hey, we have a problem, or we need your input on something. What are other clients doing, or how would you solve this technical challenge? And it feels like they're a part of our team. It feels like they are absolutely invested in our success. They never say, hey, that's out of scope, or we're not gonna help you with that. They always say, well, how can we help? How can we partner together? Or here's some best practices. And so it's been an excellent experience for us to be able to work with the Graphite team. And that's true of the folks that we were initially engaged with, all the way through to our customer success, and every team in between has been super helpful in helping us figure out ways to continue to get more and more value out of the platform. And we're getting way more value out of it than we ever thought we would, which has been a really positive thing for all of us. Teams that weren't even sure they wanted to use Graphite and embrace it are now saying, what else can we do on Graphite? What else can we deploy, because this is working so well? Yes, several people have asked me if you actually, if there's a trick, or if there's some hidden element of the cost because it seems too good to be true. And the answer is not that we've found. We've gotten all of the value that was promised and more, and it is inexpensive. We have been pleasantly surprised with the price. It's not a price tag that you have to go and spend weeks and months trying to go and justify. It's easy because it's inexpensive, but the value is absolutely there. There's no hidden upsells or hidden engagements that you didn't know about. It's been great. We've had a lot of unexpected benefits from Graphite. Probably the main ones have been we've continued to expand additional use cases. We've had a lot of groups say, hey, how else can we use this solution? How else can we use this platform? And they find out what other clients are doing of Graphite, other Graphite customers, and they say, hey, I hear this is working well. Can we do this too? And we've been able to expand our use case. One example of that has been adding the supplier health from a financial perspective and understanding their supplier financial ratings and integrating that. And so that's been a really good additional use case that wasn't one of our core reasons for selecting Graphite, but it's continued to add more and more value. In terms of future developments, I think the main opportunity for Graphite to continue to make waves in this space is, I think the network effect needs to become even more and more capable. And what I mean by that is, as more and more companies adopt, the value of the network becomes more and more profound for all of us. I have a very vested interest in peer companies like my own joining Graphite. Why? Because if you've done work with a supplier and I later want to use them, I benefit from that and vice versa. And so I think the network effect is real and it's there, but I think the promise and the potential is far greater than where we're at today. And I'd like to see that continue to mature.